All right, hello out there, everyone. In franchise land, I'm Adam Johnson. I'm the president of Nerds to the Rescue Incorporated, and I have a little bit of a public service announcement for you today concerning the email that is going out. Now, this email blast is going out to 50,000 businesses with very strict and certain criteria about their income, about things of that nature. So one thing that we want to be able to do, and one of the things you've probably seen, if you can see this from the camera, is the actual evaluation form. I want to kind of step you through the process a little bit of about what's going to be going on and how you're expected to handle this, because this is very important. And if you do this right, there's a lot of money to be had in what we're doing. Okay, so we're actually going to be adding some more training videos here in the next day or two, so I certainly want you to take advantage of that and watch them and get up to date. So this evaluation form, and many of you have already seen the sample ones that I have sent you for approval. They're basically not much different than that. They are two-part, just like the invoice, and have a signature page that, you know, when you sign it and all that good stuff, it'll go through. It's very, very important that you understand how this process works. So I'm going to kind of talk about that. First thing that you need to know is the process of how the whole thing lines out. Why are we doing this, right? One thing that we're doing here at corporate is we're actually switching out of the break-fix mode, and that's something that's needed to be done for quite a long time, and it's admittedly very hard to do because a lot of you guys, right, you're out there still, you know, taking the hammer to computers, and yeah, you're making some money, but you're really not making 20, 30 grand a month like you could be at a minimum. And of course that affects all of us because we need to help you grow, but at the same time we need you to help us help you, if that makes any sense. So one thing that I want to lay out for you here real quick is just the premise of what we're doing. The purpose of these evaluations, and you need to get this in your head, the purpose of these evaluations is not to go and just fix a few computers. Now, that will be part of it, but the end goal is to get recurring customer income. So one thing that we're adding to our system here at corporate is we're actually setting up a system to do remote managed services. And what you guys are going to be doing out there, of course, is doing these evaluations, getting information, fixing the computers, and things of that nature. But then what we're also going to be offering, too, is an actual system locking program. You may have heard of it before. It's made by a company called Phoronix, and it's called Deep Freeze. It's a wonderful program, completely locks down the system so that when you get in situations like businesses and networks, etc., you can prevent users from causing damage to the computer or to the network by limiting their access to anything. I can put this on a computer, you can do everything bad that you want to it, and as soon as you restart that computer, it instantly reloads the image and you're back to day one like nothing happened. So this helps the customer to have a lot of uptime. Now we'll be pushing that software out to you guys very shortly, and there'll be another video explaining the use of that as well as a demonstration from one of our lead techs here at corporate. So I want you to look out for that. But right now, what you need to know is the end goal of this is to create recurring income for you. Now, based on statistics that we're seeing on the demographics, we're sending out 50,000 emails between several cities, and what you should see is anywhere from 1/4 to 0.5% response. But that response is all predicated on one thing, and that is this form. This form will make you a lot of money, but it is going to cost you a little bit of time up front. Okay, what's going to happen is this email is going to go out on Tuesday morning, and it's going to give them an invitation to get a $249 value for free. What that value is this evaluation form. Now, this gets you in the door. It generates automatic trust with the customer for you because you're giving them something for free with a stated value. Normally, when I do a network evaluation, it takes anywhere from half an hour to an hour. Again, there's some software that we use in that situation. I'll be pushing that out to all of you, probably via email or connection to our Dropbox here, our corporate Dropbox, in the next few days, so keep an eye out for that. And what that software will do is it'll enumerate the entire network in a matter of minutes. So one piece of information that you're going to want to get and make sure on this form to understand is that everything on this form is necessary. There's no optional fields on this form. Business name, we need that. Date of the evaluation, we need to know when you did it. Contact name, contact phone, address, city, state, zip, mailing address if it's different. Get everything. Email. Email is very important, guys. We at corporate have taken on about 90% of the cost. We've passed very little cost on to all of you for doing this, and if it works good and you guys follow this system, we're going to keep doing it for you. But in order for that to happen, I have got to get emails out of these guys. And the reason for that is that the first time, we're paying for them. But any emails that we get back in are going to go into a database, and any customers that you don't close, or even if you do, we will periodically send them emails from our corporate list. And you might even be able to drum up extra business like this. Like it might have a 10% off coupon for doing something down the future, or give them a 10% discount on a year's worth of recurring services when paid in full, or any of these kind of things. It generates business for you, and then we can take that contact when they call us and push it out to you. So we're trying to help you become more automated. Now understand that there's a slow uptime in doing remote services. It will take time to perfect. But once we get these systems in place and they start rolling out across the system, what you're going to notice is that $25, $30, $40 a month recurring that you're getting from one customer, if you do that 100 times, now you're getting $4,000 a month and you're doing zero for it. The same thing goes as we continue to push out these emails and continue to do other advertising, marketing revenue options. You're going to find that you're going to be able to make a lot more money with a lot less overhead and work, and that's what we're trying to do here, is to help you grow. There's several things on this form that you might need an explanation about. One of them is network infrastructure. You need to evaluate their network. That's hardware, software. What are they running? Their servers are on this form. What kind of servers are they? Are they Windows 2012 servers? Are they Active Directory servers? Are they Linux servers? Are they coding servers? Are they database, SQL servers, things of this nature? You need to know that information, okay? Client computers, okay? You've got a business office and they've got 20 computers. Okay, what kind of computers are they? Are they white box computers? Are they custom? Are they IBMs? Are they HPs? Are they any kind of these things? How close to end of life are they? Are they still running Windows XP? If they are, man, you need to get them transferred. We have, by the way, just so that you know, we have copies of Windows Ultimate, Windows 7 Ultimate, 64 and 32-bit that are available for purchase from us at corporate, from the corporate store. So please give us a call if you need any of those. They're rather cheap from us. Virus, spyware, and malware. Do they have these things? What's running on their client computers? Are they allowed to go to Facebook and download JavaScripts and run ActiveX controls? I mean, all of these things play a part. The purpose of this form, even though we're going to give the back sheet to the customer, the purpose of this form is really for us. It helps us to have a good sales position. You're probably thinking, Adam, why do I want to go and waste an hour of my time and give somebody a free evaluation? We have to keep in mind, it's all about rapport. You have to build trust with a business. When you build that trust with the business, you're going to be able to build that business more and more in the long term than in the immediate term. So just keep that in mind as you're doing this. This is very important to know. Upgrades. I mean, do they need any hardware or software upgrades? Some people I've seen running ACT from 1999, and that's kind of dumb considering it's 2014. That's a 15-year-old program, has security vulnerabilities, can really compromise the effectiveness and the efficiency of your network. So these kind of things you need to be thinking about. Other things like network performance and uptime, the software that we push out to you guys will actually tell you it's called network latency. In other words, how long is it taking to get from the server to the switch, to the router, to the modem, to the IP switch on the phone, to the PoE plug in the network? I mean, what is the downtime? If we're running Cat 5, for instance, one of the simplest things that you can do, it'll usually only give you a 10 to 15% network increase performance. But if you've got a 100 megabit cable line coming in, and say you're running 8 or 10 computers out there, they're all running Cat 5, and the network speed itself is slow, not the computer, but the network speed. Well, the simplest thing that you can do that's cost effective is to replace the Cat 5 wiring with Cat 6. Doesn't sound like a lot of difference, but higher throughput, 100 megahertz on the low end, 100 megahertz faster transmission speed means less latency per line going back to the network. So when you calculate all that together, if you've got 10 or 12 computers, you're saving 1,000 megahertz of clock time per second, and that means faster data transmission, faster throughput, less network deficiency. So these are important things to think about. Also, other things such as core software. What is the software they can't live without? If you go to an insurance agency, they've got software specifically for insurance. You need to understand what that software is. We'll talk more about this when we talk about the Deep Freeze program in another video, but these are important things to know. What about inventory asset tags, things of this nature? What's tagged? What isn't? Is that a service you can offer? These are things you need to think about. What is their IT budget? This is important. And a lot of people don't like to ask this question. The reason we're getting this form out there for free to them is because it allows you to ask this question. What is your IT budget? If I could make you 30% more efficient and save you tons of money based on your IT staff in-house is already doing, save them time, save you money, what kind of budget would you be looking at that I could operate within to help you out in that fashion? You need to present it like that. They need to feel like you're their friend. They need to know that you're the expert. What are you doing here? What are you going to give them? Well, you need to know what kind of constraints you're working within. Us IT guys, we go and see a network and it's like, oh wow, they need these great multiplexing servers and they need this $1 million contraption. But in a lot of cases, their IT budget just isn't realistic. You might have $5,000 to work with for 20 computers, and really, you can't even buy 20 good computers for $5,000 these days. So just something to think about. Keep an eye out for that. Now, if they don't answer it or they're not comfortable answering it, that's fine. Don't press them. But understand, it's very important to know this. Even if it's just an estimate, it gives you an idea of when you finish this form, what you can offer them as a package to help them and stay within, or ideally, if their budget is reasonable, below their budget and save them money and make you money. What about network topology? Typology, rather. One thing that a lot of networks don't have is a good typology. And typology is just a type, or some people call it a network key, network map. It's a little thing made in Visio, goes up on your wall, usually over your server or your rack, and it's a graphical representation and lingual variations of everything that's going on your network, where every wire goes, where every switch is, where every termination point is. These are very important, and there's a lot of money to be made in these guys. If you don't know how to do a Visio key map, you need to hop yourself on YouTube and learn, because that is a skill right there that will easily get you $100 an hour, and even on a small to mid-sized network, could be 7 or 8 hours worth of work. So you might have $1,000 just in handing them a piece of paper with a map on it. So think about these things, right? Training. Do they need any training? Do their clients need any training? Maybe you go there and you find that all the clients have viruses on their computer and nobody knows why. When you find the viruses, think about it this way. Yes, you need to remove those viruses, but if you train them not to get them, then you go back to this IT budget and you sell it to them by saying, listen, it does cost money for me to train them, but if by training them and preventing them from going here, we prevent me from having to come back out, you're saving more money and staying below your budget. See, that budget gives you a way to sell your services. Very important. Backups. Where are they backing up to? And I don't mean carbamide, okay? That's a cheesy, last case scenario for starter kit systems. You need to have an on-site backup. You want to have an off-site backup. We'll be having services being provided for that very soon as well, so keep an eye out for that. These kind of things generate you recurring income. So things to think about. End of life, we already talked about. Hardware and software that's black tagged. In other words, that it's going out of, basically it's going off the side of the earth. It's not going to be produced, or maybe it's not produced already. You need to know what that is. Educate yourself on these things. Remote management, alerts, system ticketing. What if something goes down? Who is getting an alert? Who knows if your hard drive is about to crash? Or who knows if a server reports that Smart is saying, hey, your hard drive is about to fail, or your memory is going bad, or you have a redundancy issue, or you have a data clash on a switch, or a port goes bad, or anything like this. I mean, who knows? Until your network is down, then you call us. See, that's bad. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And again, use that point to sell these things, right? An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. We can come in and prevent these things. It will cost you a little bit, but if we come in and be reactive rather than proactive, you're going to pay a lot more. So you really need to think about this. Wi-Fi hardware. 97% of all Wi-Fi networks in the U.S. are open. That's stupid. I mean, make sure they're secured. Make sure that they have good industry-grade hardware. One thing that we run into a lot out here is that we'll go into doctors' offices, they have wireless networks, and they're not secure at all. Or they have very cheesy passwords. Or somebody could just as easily get to their wireless router, which is just sticking out of a push tile, push the reset button and reconnect to it, and set the password to whatever they want, locking everyone else out and gaining access themselves. You need to be able to see these things, prevent against them, and make sure everybody in management is informed. If you're going into hospitals, do you know which routers are HIPAA compliant? There's only about 5 on the average retail shelf. There's lots of more out there that you can buy, but if you had to go down to your local Walmart or your Best Buy or your Fry's, do you know which ones have HIPAA compatibility? Do you know which ones are going to reduce their insurance rate? If you put a HIPAA compliant Cisco N-Series router in a doctor's office, the doctor will save money on the insurance. So when he takes a picture of that receipt and sends that to his insurance company, it may not be much, it might be 20 or 30 bucks a month, but 20 or 30 bucks a month forever saves him a lot more money than it's going to cost him to pay you $200 or $300 to do that service. So think about these things. Other things, miscellaneous things, Wi-Fi, security, software, hardware, all these things are important. Printers. Printers are usually always outdated to some degree in 90% of networks. Think about efficiency. If everybody's printing to 1 or 2 printers and there's 20 people in an office doing it and they constantly print, not only are you putting a larger load on that printer than it's really made for, which will result in a quicker turnaround time. You'll have to buy another one quicker because that one will die. Who's maintaining their printers? Who's doing service on them? Who's making recommendations about the best one to buy for their situation? Maybe they don't need 2 printers. Maybe they need 1 good printer. Or maybe they have 1, they really need 2. You're the expert. You've got to be able to illustrate these things to them. Finally, system lockdown, and there's a comment section. If they have any questions or information that they need, or maybe you find that you ran into something that you don't really know what it is, put it down here in the comments, and the recommendation section is for you to recommend, based on all these things that you checked, based on all these things on the form, this is what I would recommend you do, and give them an approximate price. Now make sure that they understand, there's a box for it right here on the form, but make sure that they understand that that is an estimate, not an invoice. And the fact that it is an estimate does not include recurring services. You're just putting down the information to do step 1. Step 1 is break fix, right? We're going to go find what's broken and we're going to fix it. Then we're going to lock down your system and solidify it. And then we're going to look at long-term remote services. So there's 3 steps to that process. The form is really just to get you into the door. The other thing you have to do is once you get this filled out and you sign it and you get them to print their name on here and you give them the nice little fancy yellow copy and you keep this good copy, you are to scan these forms. Scan them, and email them either to myself or to operations, to Danny, to Ty, anybody over here at corporate. We've got to have a copy of them because in a lot of cases, especially if you start getting yourself into bigger networks and you need assistance or you need price and guide information, we have a lot of resources to help you with that you frankly won't have the buying power to get on your own. A lot of low to mid-grade servers, for instance, can run $2,000 or $3,000 at cost. We can usually either co-brand, in other words, customize those same systems with the same hardware in them for half that price. So if you, instead of having to put $2,000 out of your pocket to turn around and sell something to a customer with a 20 or 30% markup, only to make $200 or $300, if we can save you $1,000, you keep the price exactly where you quoted it to the customer, you're only going to make more money in the long run. So we want to help you with that process. Secondarily, we want to make sure we get these emails. Guys, I cannot stress this enough. Do not do this yourself. We are here to help you. That is why you bought the franchise. Let us do our job. Send these forms to us. I know it takes time. Maybe do it once a week. But make sure you get all these forms together and get them to us ASAP. Because if there's anything that needs to be brought to our attention for legal reasons and to help protect you, I need to have this form. That way I can look back and say, Joe wrote on here that your network is about to fail. And then when he comes back here and yells at you or me, or calls corporate and says, I don't know what this guy is doing, my network failed the day he came out here, I can say, well, Joe told you. He said his network is going to fail. And you said, don't worry about the network in the comments section. So we need to have that extra layer of protection, and we need to get those emails so we can put them in a database. So make sure to do that. All right, guys, that pretty much sums up what the first part of this is. Once you get the form done, shake that person's hand, thank them for the opportunity, let them know that you'll be in touch. Make sure you give them your business card. In fact, a good practice is to go to Home Depot or Office Depot or any place like that, grab some paper clips, don't staple. Nobody likes trying to index staples. Staples are bad for business, okay, when it comes to forms and things like this. When you give them their copy, paper clip your card to it so they can't lose it, right? They'll put that in the index somewhere. If they have an issue, before they're ready to move on this, they'll call you. If not, make sure that you take the time to send the forms in. We'll help you come to an evaluation, get pricing down, block hours out, these kind of things. That way when you go back to them, 2 or 3 days later, maybe the next Monday or something like that, you can say, all right, Joe, this is what I've got for you. This is what we've really found is going to be the best case scenario